back a motherfucking game. It is Peace to the G's. I'm JD. He's Ron Du. I'm one half. He's the other half. Or he's the front man. I'm the comedian. Either way you go, it is Alpha Beta Day. Let's go.
No gossip, no glitch. Just two brothers talking shit. Brothers talk about peace, JD.
One love. And on this Labor Day Monday, or the official end of a New York summer, fall doesn't begin. There's just like a thing between Labor Day Parade or the West Indian Day Parade and the African American Day Parade. There's like this catch-all. But next week is the African American Day Parade. It's going to be great. And that is the official beginning of fall in New York City. Let's go!
So, the Eastern Parkway Parade was today. Have no idea if it was a success or not, because
it's always a success.
Well, dependent.
It's always a success.
Well, hopefully there's no trouble or no casualties, because then they, especially with someone like Trump in the office, they may want to try to cancel the parade, saying it's too violent or something like that. So I know they was supposed to have canceled Juve, but I don't know if they actually canceled it or not. Never been to Juve.
Never been either. Don't care. I'm not about that. I'm about people. I barely go to parade. I went to parade like 3 times, but I'm also a New Yorker. Like I'm also not West Indian. My wife, I've gone once with my wife, and it was for me it's a hassle because she don't fucking drive. When daddy's around, she don't drive, so I had to drive and navigate. But it's what it is, man. When you in love, you do what you do, man. It's all good. Woo! Fuck that. But when I did go, I had a good time. Matter of fact, I think the last time I went, which is now such a downer, was when Oni lived on Eastern Parkway in Utica. And we went over there that time.
Only lived on Eastern Parkway in Utica. I never knew that.
She lived in an apartment over there. And so now, that's a downer.
So when we observe these holidays, these Memorial Days, Labor Day, Veterans Day, do you have any insight as to what these holidays are? Or we just look for, like a day to celebrate, just a reason to barbecue?
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Fuck. Labor Day is an official holiday. I think started by black people again. Don't quote me on that. Because of labor. Like, we took a holiday to celebrate the achievement of the worker.
I thought it had something to do with the unions as such. But being Labor Day and having to do with employment, I think we should explore some employment today. Let's do a job fair on the Peace to the G's podcast. Let's do Peace to the G's job fair today.
New York State is hiring all the time. So is New York City. These are good government jobs.
They say that Rick Ross was a correction officer.
Okay.
And I say all the time that if he in fact was a correction officer, and they say that he was, why doesn't he do job fairs or encourage Miami kids to get jobs? If he has some type of job fair himself where he says, hey, I need you to fill out these applications, and in turn, I'll do a meet and greet with you. I'll listen to your mixtape or your demo tape or whatever the case may be. But I just need you to fill out this application. He has 500 people there. 50 of them get the job. That's 50 kids off the street.
Well, one, I understand when you say kids, you mean
young adults.
18, 21-year-old.
18, 21, yes,
Two,
of course. But again, you can apply at, I believe, at 17 or something like that. You can apply for the test at that age.
Who says he's not? You ain't
I don't know that he
because
is.
you haven't heard about it.
I haven't heard about it. No, not
right.
at all.
Because you haven't heard about it doesn't mean he doesn't, right? Because it's like, think of, really honestly, and I hate to be this guy, but I'm this guy.
He's the devil's advocate today.
When you think of black people, think of Julius Shakespeare's Mark Antony and Cleopatra, where Mark Antony says in his eulogy to Julius Caesar that the good is oft interred with their bones and the bad men do live after them. So they're not going to tell you Rick Ross is doing A, B, C, and D, but they will tell you Rick Ross talk bad about this black chick, right? Because it's like people always go, right, and for New York City, oh, why don't people do anything about the black on black crime? Well, Erica Ford and several other people are doing something about youth crime rates.
Well, Curtis Sliwa had been doing something with the Guardian Angels for many, many years.
Whatever. No, hold up. And there was a time when they talked about it, and now nobody talks about it, right? At all. Same thing in Chicago. Oh, the youth is running wild, but they don't tell you about the black organizations, that people that are doing something about it, because they rather tell you brought up Trump. They rather tell you that niggas don't do shit for themselves and they're fucking horrible people. We don't know if Rick Ross is in fact doing this. Matter of fact, I hope he is. If he's not, I hope someone turns him on to this podcast and he does do that.
So where I can start is that I spent many, many years working for New York State as a mental hygiene therapy aide for New York State Office of Mental Health.
That was your title?
That was my title, yes.
That's a long-ass title.
It was a long-ass job.
Hey, pensioners unite.
So we can start here by going to omh.ny.gov. You click on that, and then you go to employment, and then it will give you options as to what position. You know, I can't say that you won't qualify for these other positions because I don't know anybody's educational status of these things, but they have many, many different positions that you can go to. Again, my position was a direct care, and for that, all I needed was a high school diploma. So based on that, the rate of pay is, I don't know, I think it's starting now with about $40,000 or $50,000 a year, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't pull it up exactly, but I know when I left, the rate of pay was about $50,000, which is crazy because when I started, it was $16,000 a year. And
that was like 30 years ago, though.
Well, it has increased over the years, and it at one point it had increased to a higher rate than some of the people who had been there for many, many years. So people starting a new job were actually coming in at a higher rate than us that have been there for over 20 years. So I'm telling you now, this is the time to apply. Go to omh.ny.gov and look into employment area. Also, we can go to, where is that at? 1 second. And I don't have my glasses. Hold on.
We got time. Oh, yeah. So hold on. While he's doing that, I can easily tell you MTA.info. I worked for the New York City Transit Authority, now the MTA, whatever, for 25 years. And MTA.info, when you click the link, go to employment, bus operator, train operator, cleaner. My wife was taking a class, a certification class, and the instructor for the class worked for the MTA. I don't remember what he did, but he was a suit and tie dude. He said, yo, think of the MTA as a small city. Whatever job you have in the city, they would have an MTA. Plumber, electrician, graphic designer, lawyers. They definitely got lawyers. They definitely got medical staff, doctors, nurses, PAs, engineers. Whatever you think, whatever your skill set is, they got a job for you at the MTA. So go to MTA.info, look at employment when you get there. Same thing with the Office of Parks and Recreation and Parks, Recreation and Historical Preservation.
New York State.
Go to New York State Parks. Look up employment. They have a plethora of jobs there for you to do. Matter of fact, they're canvassing for grade 9s right now. Open competitive in Comset State Park. That's in the North Shore, and Robert Moses, as well as other places, Niagara region. Plus, it goes regionally, so you don't have to necessarily work in New York City or Long Island or Westchester. If you decide, hey, you want to move upstate, there are plethora of jobs up there for you to do.
The
So,
upside of
look at
that is that if you're still students, 16 or over, you can apply for New York State at Jones Beach specifically and work for the summer, and they will call you back as a seasonal employee every year. So that gives you the opportunity while you're still in school, and even for some of the college kids, you can go and start in May around Memorial Day and work until or past Labor Day, and then go back every year as a seasonal employee.
Let me. It's not specifically Jones Beach. It is all over.
No, I'm
the
saying
state.
specifically Jones
Right.
Beach because that's where my experience was.
And when he says May, it's a little different. What you can do is apply to start as soon as possible. That might mean working weekends as a high school kid, working weekends in April, and working until they say November, but realistically, late September, October. You do need to be able to get there when the buses aren't running. And yeah, it is a job. Think about it. If you start at 16 and go all the way through to your 22, and graduate college and get a job somewhere else, that literally is 6 years where you basically, as long as you don't screw it up, you got something to do. And I tell you what, I wouldn't be there now if I didn't love it. By the way, my man, never mind. That's another story.
No, go ahead.
No, that's another story for something else.
Okay.
That's a private story that, because one of my mans is back. It's all good.
So we have sanitation, and that's
Absolutely.
at where to go for that.
San Diego, New York State
sanitation.
New York City sanitation.
NYC.gov.
Yep.
That's for sanitation.
Should be the PD.
We got
Who's
the
the
United
man?
States Postal Service. You can go to USPS.com and look into some employment at the U.S.
Federal
Postal
level?
Service, and that's a federal job. So what happens is, if you do receive employment there, you can go from state to state. You're not limited to the state that you're in. You
You're
know,
not.
if they have transfer opportunities in another state that you may be interested in, you can then transfer. Once you've achieved your year probation and passed your year probation, you can move forward and transfer to other states. And the upside to that is the rate of pay stays the same no matter what state you go to. So if you live in New York, where the cost of living is very high, and you move to some place like Texas or Idaho or Ohio, I know that the cost of living there is much cheaper. You're still at the same rate of pay as if you were still in New York. So that's a good opportunity for a lot of you guys.
Let me also say this, and although I did not ultimately go into the service, military is a fine option. You can find your way there. If you are 18, you are about to graduate high school, and you don't know what you want to do, take the 4 years. And I say this, right, because some people, like my brother-in-law, is making a career of it. I got several cousins who have made a career as military men.
My goddaughter is actually in the military. She's been in there for some time. That's Kasim's daughter, and she's been in there. Kalisha, congratulations, she just had a baby.
Listen, our niece is retiring.
Yes.
Right?
Not the mama.
So don't. It's a fine career, and think about it. If you go into 18, you do 20, you come out full benefits at 38. I know dudes.
If you're single, it's an opportunity to travel the world.
Absolutely.
So that is a benefit to it as well. I
and
know
there are
people who have been
major
around
benefits.
the world with that.
To that, and I know dudes that.
And don't they have a military loan once you
the benefits are
discharge? You can get a home or something like that.
Loans,
a homeowner's loan, yes.
Bank loans, business capital startups, and I know dudes who, give me a sec, who have left the military. Guy named Tommy. I didn't know he did 20 years. He did 20 years, then came and did 22. He got hurt. So he ended up doing 22 for the Transit Authority. This mofo was 62, now he pulling in 2 pensions because he was young enough to start a whole nother gig and do 20 years that.
And they also help with your college if you want to go to college. They offer you money for school as well.
Benefits, whether you go free, where they do all your benefits for free, or they have a program that you pay for, but believe me, it is a nominal fee that you're paying every month for your service in the U.S. military. Again, I'm not telling you, yo, go out and join, but if that's something you think you might be interested in, or you think you ain't got nothing else to do but hang in these streets, go do that.
So also on NewYork.gov, NYC.gov, it's police, firemen, EMT, and many things on NYC.gov.
I encourage all of you to flood the police department.
Well, I say,
if you think you're not being treated well, right, the only way to change that system is by being inside it.
So what's your response to those young guys that, I can't mess with the police, I don't want to be a cop?
How do you make it easier for your homies and your peoples if you ain't in there? You know how you would treat your people, right? You're not going to pull them over every second of the day. You're not going to be some outside invader from Long Island or Staten Island or Jersey. You're a guy who lives in those neighborhoods, and you should be a guy who lives in those neighborhoods. Let me tell you something. The best way to make your neighborhood safe is being a cop living in your neighborhood, because I guarantee you, when there are cops in neighborhoods, they are more safe. And I mean cops who live in those neighborhoods, not just driving around in cars patrolling them.
For the younger people and high school people and stuff, I encourage you to look into the cadets, because that is an opportunity to, as an inside point of view, to see what the police department is about. And if you want to go
Long Government High School
and pursue it, and then if you don't, then that's an option as well. But at least know it before you say that you don't want to be a part of it. Or auxiliary police, the parade police, they have an opportunity to, you could work for the police force as a civilian, and that's volunteer work, but it would give you again some insight as to how the police force works.
He makes a great point, but they tell you now you got to do some volunteer work to graduate high school, so do that. Get you some good inside information. And one thing, outside of that, all of this and the job thing and everything, but these are great careers. I know a bunch of cops who retired. They made a good living.
Well, one of the benefits of being police, fire, EMT, corrections, or teacher is that they have what they call the HUD program. Housing and Urban Development has a program called the Good Neighbor Next Door program. It used to be the Officer Next Door program, but now it's the Good Neighbor Next Door program. And it provides homes at half price in the urban community. I will say it's definitely in the challenged communities. And they encourage people who are police, corrections, fire, teacher, EMT, because they feel like if you're a police in the community, then people won't do as much crime in the community.
What I say earlier.
They feel like if you're a fireman in the community, that if there's any fire or any emergency with gas or carbon dioxide or anything, that you may as a neighbor be able to help that. That's why it's called the Good Neighbor Next Door. A teacher as well. If you're a teacher, you could teach the kids in the community. If you're a EMT and somebody has a heart attack, you can perform CPR in that community. So it's the Good Neighbor Next Door. They allow you ownership of your home at half price. So if it's a $500,000 house, you can get it for $250,000. And the only requirement is that you stay there for 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah, 2 years. That's it. Now the downside to that is that people make errors with it. I know a story of a gentleman. I don't know if he was police or corrections, but he was right over in Springfield Gardens. He got the home under that same program, and he was letting his family members stay there. It was a drug drought in the street. So a drought is where there's no drugs coming in the community. coming from outside. So all the drug dealers was stuck for money and whatever. But these young guys was doing a lot of things with the credit cards and the scamming and all that, and they was showing out. And the social media was relatively new at the time, and they was out there popping champagne and pouring it all out on the car, and I mean going super hard. So the older dudes who were still hustling and selling, drugs and such, were droughting, so they didn't have any money at that time. So they decided to kidnap one of the dudes. Kidnapped one of the young dudes, called from their cell phone and told his man, yo, bring us like 40,000 or whatever it was. It was in the newspaper, so I'm not saying anything that's a secret. So they kidnapped the dude, put him in the garage, was upstairs playing PlayStation. The dude hung up the phone with them for the ransom demand, called the police immediately, and gave the number that they called from. The police in no time were at that home, right? Went into the garage, found the dude, went upstairs and arrested everybody, and the owner of that home allegedly had the Good Neighbor Next Door program. So I say that to say, he may not have been a good neighbor.
Watch yourself and who you let stay in your motherfucking house.
And let's just be responsible. When you have things that are of that much of a benefit to you, imagine if the police then moved in and made him give up that home. You know what I'm saying? He could have potentially had $1 million home for $500,000, and you gave it away just letting your friends and family stay and play there. So it's an unfortunate thing. We have to make responsible, decisions. I, in my own employment, had did a favor for a friend, and it almost went awry to where I almost lost my job for it. I'm grateful that I was, able to, and I wasn't charged with anything at work or anything. It was just a small mishap. But again, it was based on me doing a favor for one of my friends, and I think I had about 5 years at that time. And I almost gave up my job in my 5 years based on me trying to look out for one of my people.
I've never had that issue.
I say that to say that we just need to be responsible. If you do get employment, and I hope that some of these resources that we mentioned allow you to get employment and have a flourishing career, just don't jeopardize that. I remember many nights I would tell people, yo, I turned into a pumpkin at 12 o'clock because I worked the midnight shift, and people used to be like, no, just take off and let's hang out tonight, let's do that. And I was very responsible in going to work every day. You know what I'm saying? It did have some setbacks. I missed a lot of things.
Yeah, but you sitting fat on dough
but
now.
Right now, I was able to retire, and I don't have to work anymore, and I still have enough that's to make a comfortable retirement.
See what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about.
So I encourage just try to get your jobs young. Try to get your jobs young. Because it'll keep you off the street and different things. Many times I've been pulled over by the police, and based on me having a job, even I was arrested for something with my license one time many years ago. My lawyer was able to come in and beat the charge, or whatever the case may be. But part of them releasing me on my own recognizance was the fact that at that time I had I think I had 10 years at the job at that time. And they was like, based on that, it was no real threat of me running.
Bouncing.
And you know what I'm saying? The bail was, they just gave me I did that. Lawyer came in and knocked the case out immediately. And it was nothing. I think I got a violation for that, which is not a felony or misdemeanor. It was just, it's like a ticket,
Okay.
So it's kept me out of jail many times, many other times. To stop, I show them my job ID, and many times you drive a decent vehicle, they want to pull you over. And me, and I was still running the street a little bit at the time. And being able to pull out my job ID made a significant difference in whether I would get searched or different thing. Now, I have still been searched on occasion, but it's been a rare occasion. I would say of the 30-odd years I've been driving, 40 years I've been driving, I may have been searched maybe twice.
Never happened to me.
I've only been searched maybe twice.
But then again, I give simp vibes.
I mean, but I was in high-end cars, and they felt that. Whatever.
Nah, I know, nigga. The
I
nice
actually
car.
was pulled over in a car, and this is when they initially, because you got to think prior to, in our youth, they didn't have all the fancy computers and stuff in the car. They would have to call in on the radio to check your license. So during that time, they had called in on the radio, and I told them my name and my address and my date of birth. So when I gave that, they said, we have a JD. I'm not saying his full name, but it was my brother. And they said, we have him at that address at that same age. There's no way it could be you and him, and he's the one who has the license. So we're thinking you're him. I said, I'm not him. I'm telling you, we're brothers. They said, we don't have anything in the computer with your name on it. It must be you. And then they said he had a warrant. I was like, my brother does not have any warrants. They ran the name and gave him a ticket. Because I was driving. We actually had to go to court together and clear that up. You know?
Yes, we did.
And they did that many times just because they called it in on the radio. And because we're so close in age, they did not give us the benefit of the doubt. They said, he's the one who had the license. You're lying. And then when the computer came up, they pulled up his picture and said I was him.
Well,
you know, but I say all that to say, is that though those are anomalies and they will happen, you know, on rare occasions, that if you got your foot in the door, if you have a job and these different things, you will avoid a lot of situations.
Yo, eat your vitamins, eat your veggies, run, take care of your health.
Well, we're gonna have a health episode in a couple of days because we gotta. Nobody wants to diabetes, you know. And I'm really looking at this being the first of the month. I'm really looking to change my diet and do some things, you know, to be more proactive about my sugar.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
It's not out of control, but it is at an elevated level at this point. I will admit that.
I gotta get mine checked. I was supposed to get. I went to the doctor the other day. I was supposed to get my blood pressure. My blood done. And I was like, yo, it's going to take forever. So I got to go in there and get it done. Excuse me, I got to go in there and get it done because I got a procedure. Oh, my God, they checking for heart disease. I didn't tell you?
No.
They're going to be checking me for heart disease Wednesday, the 10th, whenever the 10th is. So I'm going in there, getting checked. Listen, folks, I'm 57 years old. It's time to get all these tests done. It's crazy. It's crazy.
But we would definitely follow that up on maybe the next couple of episodes because, you know, we want to ensure that John is all right. And
it's not about me being all right.
No, I'm saying we will follow up, you know, after your procedure is done.
I'm saying definitely,
you know?
But it's not necessarily about me being all right.
We're definitely going to have a podcast about health. And, you know what I'm saying? Because that's something that's vitally important.
Absolutely, man. I mean, shout out to Beatrice Chapman. One of my peoples passed away, had a heart attack. She was 50 years old. Get the fuck out of here, B. That's crazy. I know a dude, Mike Head, had a bunch of strokes. Alright? I mean, what is he, 54 now? But that was over 10 years ago. Like, yo, shit, I know too many people that are not doing well. And it's hard to make changes in your life when you've been doing the same thing forever. Not saying that these people were doing the wrong things with their lives. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that we could all do better. And we could all change our eating habits. We could all try to eat better. It's hard now because of the things that I do not want to agree with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. at all. I do not. He's a fucking nutbag. But he makes a point when they talk about pesticides and artificial ingredients in food. The United States allows things that they don't allow anywhere else. And we got to get back to natural foods. We got to get a lot of these steroids and stuff out of our foods, because that will change our lives. That's why when you look at Gen X, we don't live as long as our parents, or in some cases we do live longer, but we're sicker because we were the last generation to have natural food. And now our kids, they don't know nothing but steroids and shit in the food. And it's crazy. But, hey, you can go to college and be a scientist and get a job at the FDA. Right? Working on stuff like that.
As I browse New York State, New York State job currently has 1,751 entries as to availabilities for job in different positions. I was going to go through and read them off when I thought it was just a few, but clearly it's way too many for me to go through. But go to New York State jobs and check and see, you know, if any of these things work for you. You know, if you meet the criteria of many jobs, it may be
you don't even know, like, for real.
Something may be out the box for you and something that you may not have thought about doing, but you explore it and you may be interested. And even if you know, you get a job in it. And I don't encourage people to get jobs and not keep them. But I mean, for me, right, when you fill out your resume, I remember my daughter when she was young. She had many different jobs, 2 months, 5 months, 6 months, this, that, and the other. So she filled out a resume. She had 10 jobs on it.
Ooh.
She thought it was a great resume because it was many jobs. But the jobs were a month, 2 months, 5 months. A good resume is longevity. If you've been at a job for 5 years, that's a good resume. So you may only have one job on that resume. But what you do is you have the one job on your resume. And we may do a podcast on resumes, a good resume at some point.
Jesus Christ, remember you used to do that in elementary school?
Yes, a good resume is one job over a long period of time and all the specific tasks that you do at that job listed separately. So if you're a custodian, you want to say you sweep, you mop, you pick up garbage, you fix small items at the job.
I disagree, but go ahead. I'm going to let you finish.
No, I'm finished.
Now, so just that me being me, devil's advocate, I say 2 to 3 jobs. But those 2 to 3 jobs should always be elevated. You start as a customer service assistant. Cool. Hey, the next thing you were the floor manager. You know what I mean? I moved from this job to this next job because I would be promoted into that next job. I would be at the next level.
But that would be at the same job.
Not necessarily. If you go old school, right? You go from Foot Locker, being a dude on the floor, to the floor manager at Champs. Those are 2 different stores. But the next level, right? And then you get to be a manager at Dick's because you use those experiences to get you to Dick's Sporting Goods.
Hey, yo.
Just saying. You understand? So you always moving up. I think that presents a pretty decent resume because you're not staying in one place, true. But each place you're going, you're at the next level, right? Which shows your upward mobility. It shows the fact that you can go from being a person who's what we would call a frontline employee to management. And, you know, who knows where that can take you. Things like that.
So these things are vitally important, and happy Labor Day to you all. I want to shout out my girl Carmen Cooper for giving me a lot of the information that I've shared with you all. And we'll get to it. Hit it with the tagline, brother.
It's been real. You've been regular. We love you for listening and hope you do to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a motherfucking friend we out here. Peace to the G. Spotify, YouTube, like,
TikTok.
Subscribe, alert bell, TikTok. We are on the Instagram. I gotta do better, but he runs to TikTok, and TikTok's on fucking fire. Check out the Peace to the G's on TikTok. That shit is lit.
Whatever lit means.
I don't even know if lit is good now.
I have no
old.
idea.
Shit, what's the new term?
I have no idea.
Let us know at Peace to the G's podcast at Gmail. Later.
Put it in the